which game.
You take your time. I just want to remind people that all of their donations obviously go directly to Mind. Mind tells us that in every region of the world, mental health disorders surpass 10% of the population. And so all of the money that gets donated through McRaeathon and all €240 that's come in so far, which is an amazing amount, I think surpasses every previous McRaeathon we've ever done, will go directly to Mind to help support those that struggle with mental health issues.
Okay. We're in with Sega Rally 3 already. Gonna introduce the game briefly. This game is some kind of reboot of Sega Rally Championship from 1995 on a few different aspects. This game takes a kind of in-between approach between arcade and simcade. And it also has the most recent cars from 2008, rally cars from 2008, like the Citroën C4. So without further ado, I'm gonna start this run as well. Obviously the countdown will start with the countdown of the actual announcer on the first track, so I'm gonna insert a credit. This is championship mode, so we need to finish the championship in first place. I'm also gonna do the extra track, which is Lakeside. Gonna use manual transmission here as well. 2, 1, go. Okay, this is Sega Rally 3, as I was saying. It has a different approach from Sega Rally 2 and Sega Rally 1. It's still kind of simulative, but still kind of arcadey, because the car tends to slide on every turn on every surface. But every surface has its properties. On this track, Tropical, we see terrain types like mud, sand. Actually, probably mud and sand only on this track. Yeah, and also water. We need to stay away from water, because water will slow down us a lot. So it's not something that we want. Also, each track has 2 laps, as you can see. And we need to complete basically 2 laps of each track. As you can see, there are cars on our way, so we need to surpass them. And on the first track, they're not much on our way, but on the latter tracks, they will be really I don't know how to say it. There will be trouble, because they will get in our racing line, and in order to avoid it, we need to take different racing lines from normal. By the way, on this track, you can do almost everything full throttle, except for this turn that I took right now. And but apart from that, you can do everything full throttle basically. So we're almost on the finish line of the first track, and here we go. First track down. Tropical. Next stage is Canyon. So this track, as you could guess from the name, it's in a canyon, but it's also near an Air Force base, as you will see in a moment. This track features a kind of narrower layout and a mix of tarmac and gravel sections. So we need to stay really on alert to avoid going off track. So here we go. As you see, it's an airbase / space station with spaceship taking off from Earth while we race on a canyon. And yes, as you could see, cars will be on our way. And on this hairpin, it's useful to bump our rear of our car in order to get a slight speed boost. Another thing I didn't mention is that on most tracks, you're always on 6th gear. Why is that? So basically, 6th gear is like the strongest gear in the game, and has also the best acceleration out of all the gears. So unless the turn is not too wide, it's not too narrow or too tight, it's best to stay on 6th gear, even when we do a turn like this one. The car will accelerate back to 300 kilometers per hour, which is our target speed basically, and keeping that speed is important on this game basically. So we're almost at the end of the track. On this track there is you're not supposed to get on 3rd place. We'll see if I can get to it. And you will see also on the last track, which is called Alpine, why you couldn't get on 3rd place if I get to it. So basically, the last car on this track is a Mitsubishi, if you're playing with a Citroen C54. And it's kind of far away, but if you drive well enough, you can reach it. In this case, this Suzuki WRX is kind of my way. It's kind of my way. I just managed to surpass it, and yeah. So basically, what happens is that if you get 3rd on Alpine, which is the track I'm gonna play now, the game basically doesn't expect you to be on 3rd. So on the hairpin after this tunnel, will literally spawn a car in front of you. And like it was nothing basically. But if you're 4th, the game behaves correctly. So unfortunately, I can't show you that. I can't show to you that that kind of glitch. This track is kind of different from the other ones because it's a mix of tarmac and snow sections, mixed with hairpins and narrow turns. So we need to stay. We need to keep a little bit of attention, basically. If I get to it, the next car is the last car of the race, so we're already on 1st place here. And if we surpass it on this lap, we can basically do a clean lap on the last one. So I'm gonna explain another thing I didn't explain on the previous lap, being the hairpin section. It's all on tarmac, but as you could see, it's very narrow. So on that turn specifically, it's the only turn where we actually shift gear from 6th to 4th, and then back to 5th gear. In this section in particular, it's important to stay in 5th gear because if we go to 6th gear, then we basically crash on the turns. So this is the only exception where 6th gear isn't optimal. But apart from that, you're always on 6th gear on this track as well. I don't know. The track is almost done. We're almost at the end of Alpine. The run is not done though, because there's also the extra track, which is Lakeside, which is the remake of the original Lakeside that you saw on Zaukauf run on Sega Rally Championship 1995. It's a bit different from the original Lakeside though. Like in look it's similar, but in how it plays it's different. We got 629 overall on the 3 tracks. I could do better, but I think it's fine. And then Lakeside, the last track of the run. On this track you only race against one car, which is the same car as yours. And you need to pay attention because the car behind you really speeds up a lot on the first lap, at trying to overtake you. So if you get to 6th gear as soon as possible on the first few turns, you could keep it behind, and I actually succeeded in that. Another thing I want to mention is that on this track, it's actually optimal to bump on a few turns because for how narrow the track is, it's actually better. Like you go faster. So I actually tried to do it on the first lap, but didn't succeed. I will try on the next lap again. This is another turn where we shift to 3rd gear and do this kind of slide to get the turn done. And there is one other turn where we actually crash on the wall and then shift gear. this one. Okay, we're on the final lap. Hopefully we can finish this without making the countdown go down to 0. And I'm gonna try to show you how to bump into the walls in a while. On this track it's particularly difficult to keep the car on the track actually, because the surface is not really helping you. Okay, I did bump the wall rear hard there, but if you get it correctly, you could actually get some kind of speed boost from it. But yeah, we're almost at the end of the run. Just a few turns left with an hairpin. That's cool to see. Yeah, this is really similar to the original Lakeside in looks and how it plays also, because it's pretty hard. It's a pretty hard track, honestly. And yeah, time will get in right now. So that was Sega Rally 3. Gonna show the credits. And yeah, that was it.
And there we are, the end of the trifecta of Sega Rally games.
I'm really happy that McRaeathon got to show all the Sega Rally games. So yeah,
3 great runs, I must say. So thank you very much, Brionac, and also thank you to Savcaf beforehand for running Sega Rally 1. Before we disappear, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. So the good news is that I've got a couple of donations to read out. So we've had a $5 donation coming from Llama RP, who says Dahiroma, and I couldn't agree more. Let's go, let's go. Thank you for your donation. And a $5 donation has come in from an anonymous donor who says, who gives us a leaderboard here of the top 3 rally. Number 3 is Pirelli. Number 2 is Brionac95. And number 1 is Sega Rally. And I think that's a fantastic way for us to end off this Sega Rally section. That is the good news. The bad news is that the next run is the last run of McRaeathon, coming up after the break. Not only will I be handing off... Go on.
I would like to just thank a few people
Absolutely.
before passing to the next round. I would like to thank all guys from Italian speedrun community that came here to watch my runs. So thank you very much. I would like to thank you, McRaeathon, for having me as a runner and also as a tech guy at this point. And everyone that donated, commentated, stayed at the host as an host of the run. So thank you as well. Yeah, that's it for me.
I couldn't agree more, Brionac. And for those that don't know, Brionac has been working tirelessly behind the scenes on the tech side of things for McRaeathon. So a massive thanks to Brionac, not only for running these fantastic games, but also for making sure everyone else is able to run their games as well.
Yep.
So as I was saying, the little bit of bad news is that the next run is the last run of McRaeathon this year. I will be handing over to Viper, who will be taking the hosting shift for the last run. The last run will be Gran Turismo 2, all licenses, and it will be starting as soon as we come back from this short intermission.
Bye-bye.